Hello, welcome to the Parent Talk Snippets. I'm Margaret King Ahmed, and I present to the district the Parent Talk program. And in the studio today with us are two guests that have taken those classes and been through the program. So I would like to introduce them at this time. We have Ibrahim Nasser, and you're from what school was that?
Henry Ford Elementary.
Okay, and Janine Livel?
Hi, from Duval Elementary.
Excellent, excellent. So throughout the year, I go through to all the schools and provide Parent Talk classes, free of charge, thanks to the Dearborn schools and the bilingual program. And so I thought it would be really nice to just bring in some guests, some parents that have been through the program and could give you firsthand some of the tips that they learned, some of the skills and strategies that they learned in the classes. So I'm going to start with you. And Ibrahim,
yes,
I would like for you to introduce yourself again and talk about some of the kids that you have, your own kids, and tell me maybe one or two strategies that you felt you were you used them actually right away after you went through the class and you learned those strategies. Were there a couple strategies that you were able to implement right away?
Yes. Hello, Margaret. Thanks for having us here. And thank you for offering the class. It never really occurred to me to actually go to such a class. I guess we parents kind of assume that we know how to deal with children by nature when we really don't. And I'm glad I took the class. And one of the first strategies I actually used was on how to talk to the children and have them accountable for their actions. I have two beautiful daughters. One is 4, one is 5, and Dean and Sarah, and whenever they come into the house, they leave their jackets, their hats, their gloves on the floor in the foyer, and they run to play or do whatever they want to do. And every day, every time we tell them, please, put your clothes, your jackets, your hats, your mittens in the dedicated area in the closet. Well, that never works. Till I took the class, I realized that wasn't the way I'm supposed to talk to the children. All I had to say was, these do not belong here. Yes. They belong in the closet.
Yeah.
And I go ahead and put my own stuff. As I'm saying that, my own jacket, my own hat, hang it there, and I say, it belongs here. And I kind of stand there, and first day it didn't work, but then the second, third day, they kind of started doing it reluctantly. But after a week, it's just automatic. Mm-hmm. In fact, if no one, if one of them doesn't do it, the other one will remind her. You'll forget to put your jacket in the closet.
So it's a check yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What are there some other strategies? You asked for two. The second one would be the next time.
Oh, yes.
As opposed to, why did you do this?
Yeah.
Or why didn't you do this?
Or telling them don't.
Yeah, don't.
Right?
Don't. That never works. It sounds, I think, now that I think of it, after thinking of the class, it's authoritative.
Yes.
It's, commanding. And I think the kids, if I put myself in their shoes, I would not like to be told that way.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, not only leading by example, but talking to them in a manner that gives them accountability, responsibility, helps them develop their own character, their own independence. It shows them that, they're a human being. They have self-control of their own actions. Mm-hmm. I guess people assume that because they're small, or 3, 4, or 5-year-old, that they don't know anything when they actually do know. They might do the wrong thing because they think that's how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And instead of me telling them don't do this, I think they need to understand and be convinced otherwise.
Right.
And through some of the techniques, next time is one of them. There's other ones. It actually helps us guide them and convince them, persuade them to do to do things otherwise.
Right.
And it works. Right. And I'm glad I took the class.
Oh, and I was glad that you were in the
Thank
class.
you.
And I felt that the two skills that you have actually mentioned are the two that are used immediately with most parents because they're so easily, you can easily adapt to them. Instead of saying don't, I'm going to say next time. Next time, please wipe the peanut butter and jelly off the counter before you go out to play. Right. Next time, please, put your homework away before you leave the homework table or the study room.
They deal with behaviors and actions.
Right. And so they feel like they have some kind of autonomy, right? They feel like, oh yeah, I can hold myself accountable for this. This is, something that is easily for me. I can easily be responsible for these particular things. And that says too, I mean, in the program we do talk about the fact that most kids learn how to be responsible if we just start with their own belongings. You know, like your example, the coat, the shoes, the hat, things that belong to them. If they can start learning to be responsible for those things first, everything else starts to fall in its place, especially after you start to use the other skills as well. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
you.
Janine, please introduce yourself one more time and your children and what you felt that you took away from that program.
My name is Janine Leibel, and I have 2 children. They're 7 and 4, and I also have a nephew living with me. He's 19. And in addition to that, I have 4 nieces and nephews that are typically in my house, thankfully. Because my sister and I are pretty tight, and we raise our kids together.
Nice.
One of the things that I thought was the most remarkable thing about the program was that I'm not there to try and change my children. I'm there to change myself and how I'm relating to them and how I'm talking to them. And by changing my own behavior or modifying how I interact with them, it really immediately reduced some stress and tension. You know, when you're getting into the habit of saying, don't do that, don't track mud in the house. After a while, I think they maybe just tune me out. And I don't really blame them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When you change the negative don't to the positive next time, you give them, number 1, something positive, number 2, an opportunity to improve the next time. And when I told my daughter, Nina, next time you should clean up your Play-Doh before you take out another toy.
Right.
Because your Play-Doh will dry out. Never mind the cleanup that I didn't want to do. But, the next time that she did that, she was really proud of herself. See, Mommy, I did that. See, Mommy, I cleaned up this time. So the check yourself in the next time were so immediate for me. They immediately made dramatic changes in our house.
And thank you for that. Thanks for sharing that. Because you did mention something about like empowerment. It's like this empowerment for yourself first. And when you're empowered, then, and you have the tools and you have the skills or the strategies, then you are capable of going ahead and empowering the people in your home and the people you love and the people in your surrounding. So I think that was wonderful, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would there be? I guess the question is, how did you feel when you heard about the class, and how did you hear about the class?
Well, we were told about it in one of the parent-teacher meetings, the monthly ones.
Monthly meetings.
They handed out the flyers, and it said something like, parent talk system class, and I didn't know what it was about, but it sounded good.
Okay.
I'm a relatively new parent to have small children, so I don't have experience with them, and not only one but 2, so I have a lot of parenting to do, and I noticed that I've been struggling with the kids in some aspects, behavioral aspects, because, well, as it turns out, we're the one that are causing it by using don't and the like. So it's not really
yelling or screaming or losing our cool. Yeah.
So I figured, and it was free.
Yeah,
which is great. I don't see why anybody wouldn't take it. I mean, knowing what's in it and the benefit in it, I'm willing to actually pay for a class like this.
Yeah.
And this is something that I don't know why colleges don't teach this kind of thing. I know they give us electives, but I've never seen this taught in a school, at a college or university.
Yeah.
I know most people end up being parents at some point in their life. I don't see why this is not offered as a mandatory class, to be honest with you. Somewhere either, maybe high school would be too early, but I think college would be the right place for it. But I signed up for it, and it was convenient. Thank you for offering it at in the evening.
Yeah.
I know you do offer it. You told us at different hours during the day and night. So thank you, and thanks. I'd like to thank the Dearborn Public Schools for offering it. I'm asking all parents to actually go ahead and take it. It's still being offered.
Thank you.
But I signed up, and I'm glad I took it. I learned a lot from it. I learned how to reason with the children.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the biggest thing with children is they don't understand why you're telling them something. You mentioned don't track mud in the house. In their mind, they're probably thinking, "Why? What's wrong with tracking mud in the house?" Right?
right.
And then the next step is well, because you're messing up the floor. Well, so what?
Yeah. Right.
in that specific example that you said, what I would do is I would ask them to clean it up, clean up the mess.
Yeah. So
I
I noticed
clean
that
up.
you track mud in the house.
I'll show them one day.
To clean it up.
First time I'll do it on purpose and say, no, I tracked mud in the house. Let me clean it now. I purposely show them that, okay, I'm cleaning my own
mud
mess. And,
yes.
And the next time they do it, I'll remind them, hey, look, I cleaned it.
Yeah.
Last time when I made the mess, now you do that. So
now it's your turn.
And that's in the class. Consequences. Right. Every action has a consequence.
Yes, not the punishments, but consequences. But let the consequences teach, because we are the teachers. Mm-hmm. Parents are the first teachers and the most important teachers, and will be teachers for the rest of their lives. So really, every teacher that I know, because I'm a teacher, I'm an elementary teacher as well as a parent and a grandparent, but I know this to be a fact, that as teachers, we lead by example. We're the role models, right? Mm-hmm. And so if we're role modeling to kids that it's okay to yell and scream, or it's okay to be angry and hurt someone, then kids are going to turn around and do the same thing, because they're going to mirror exactly what we do. So thank you for what you gave us as an example. I think you're absolutely right. And we do have to be very mindful in our parenting practice, and it is a practice, right? Janine, it's a practice?
It's absolutely a practice. It's something that, I did start earlier. I had sort of, I'd yell, or I'd say, don't stop. Through this class, it has absolutely transformed how I talk, and it's easy. It's not anything that's unnatural. It's something that, and it does take practice. You do it one time, and if you find yourself becoming frustrated a couple weeks later, you can go back either to the book or just to your mind and say, you know what, like, I need to make better decisions, which is another skill I use fairly often with the teenagers especially.
Right.
Make a good decision. It lets them know that they're not bound to do any one behavior or make anyone, that they have choices, and they can make that choice, and that, there's consequences either way, but that it's absolutely in their hands, and it really does empower them.
Right. And I think for them to be the decision makers, that's lifelong skills. If you think about it, we're making decisions all day long, every day. Every one of us are doing that. And we need to allow our kids to have that kind of practice as well at home, with a safety net, quite frankly. Yeah. And I wanted to get back to the fact that you had mentioned the negative and the positive earlier, and I agree. The positive is what we want to really promote more and more and more each and every day. And I feel there's still too much negative out there. Even in the media, there's negative. Just among our peers with each other, sometimes use a lot of negative, use name calling, use put downs, use things like that. And it's jokingly done, but it's not something that people go away feeling good about afterwards, after they leave their friend, they walk away and go to another class, and it hasn't really given them a jolt for to really kind of do for the better. Exactly. So I think that I think we hit a lot of the things that we needed to talk about here for this particular taping. Is there anything else you want to say in closing to kind of invite parents to join us sometime this year, next year, throughout the school year to participate?
Absolutely. And, this may seem to the viewers now that, this is simple and very simplistic and does not need to be taught. I tell you, that's not right. It may sound like that, but you really need to have somebody explain it to you in person, learn, talk to a group of people in the class, learn from their experiences. So I do invite you to take the class. I told a few friends about it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And it's an owner manual that should be in every home.
I have a question.
And I'm not saying that just because I'm here. If I didn't believe in this course, I would have not lasted, after 2 sessions. But,
yes, yeah.
This is great.
And I actually have to thank you again, and I want to do this on camera. He was actually at the father's class that we did in the evening. It was just for dads. And he helped. We had a father that came after 2 classes. We had already started, and he came in and he spoke mostly Arabic. And we do have the program in Arabic and English. We have the workbook in both English and Arabic. So Ibrahim was so kind to help this gentleman get caught up in Arabic. And so thank you so much for your help and assistance.
You're welcome.
It was greatly
I did not want him to miss the opportunity to gain these skills, since he had kids to just like us to raise.
Yeah.
it was something easy on my part, and the benefit for him was much greater. So.
Oh, thank you again for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Yes, Janine.
I literally walked into the meeting. I had read about it. I had thought, oh, that sounds great, but I didn't think it would fit into my schedule. I walked into it, and to be honest, I wasn't committed in my heart. I was not. I'll sit through this and I'll just see how it goes. I came away from it feeling really energized. It really made me feel good at the end of it. I learned something. I knew it would enhance my relationship. I have a good relationship with my kids, but it's better now. Wow. And let me tell you something else. It's not just between parents and children. Mm-hmm. Don't tell my husband this, but I totally use parent talk on him all the time. And it works. It works. It's almost to the point I don't even want him, I don't want him to know my secret, but it works, And if the same thing happens at work when you're talking to people or, if you're out talking to friends, you can redirect someone very kindly without them even knowing they're being redirected. And it doesn't feel it doesn't feel hurtful, and it doesn't feel shameful or embarrassing. You know what might work next time? And then tell them, and it's, and I do it for myself too. It's easy. It's nothing that's difficult. It's not painful, and it's a very open and safe environment to learn something.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's a communication skill. That's really all it is. It's verbal skills, learning these verbal skills, learning to communicate in a whole different way. And that was wonderful. It's really with a feather. We're not using a hammer. That's not in our toolbox anymore as parents.
No, it's really
We just need a feather. We just need to redirect people. It doesn't work, does it?
Works once. Works one time.
Right.
And then that's it. They already know what the maximum amount of mad you'll get will be, and then whatever. They can push you to that level, and they know.
Yeah.
When you just keep coming at them with the feather, it's so much more effective because you're at their level. They're not feeling that they're a defensive posture.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, mommy's not mad. I can just try something different, and it really works. So it really works really, really well.
So giving them opportunities to be responsible.
It takes out the authoritative and manipulative side of it.
Yes.
Even though it's not intentional, I think the kids feel that they're being manipulated when they feel that way. I believe in this. Teaches the skills, the language, the words that we can use to be to have a mutual relationship on how behaviors should be. Mm-hmm. And how the kids should act, and why. It's something that they want to do, not something they're doing because they're told to do. And it does work. As I mentioned earlier, it sounds simple to somebody listening out right now, but it's not really simple at the moment.
Yeah.
You have to be consciously remembering these, and if you've never read about them or attended a class, you would not know about them to begin with. So you would know.
It's true.
How to act.
And I think you're right. It's a language that's to be used with everyone. It's not just meant just for parents. It's meant for everyone because it's a language. To me, it's a language of love. It's a communication skill. You use your heart. You're not always in your head because I think your head can trip you up sometimes because you feel like you have these ideas about how it should be done, what it's going to, how it's going to look, and that you're the person in charge. And then everybody else just fall into place. I tell you what to do. I tell you, I command you, demand you, and that's the way it goes. And then as soon as that gets used on you, you're trying to figure out, where did the kids get that from? How come they're, ordering me around, So anyway, thank you both so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing what you've learned, what you've taken away from the program. And thank you for just taking that risk. I know, like you said, it was like, oh, I saw this flyer. Oh, Parent Talk. Oh, what is it? You got a little curious. You checked it out and you committed. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Margaret. You really come to this class with your own level of commitment and dedication. Margaret met with me outside of class to catch me up when I had to miss a class. It really made a difference. I felt, this is not just something I believe in, but it's something I can go forth and use. And I could tell that you're committed to it. And I said, it makes me think, how would Margaret handle this? What would I do?
Thank you, Margaret. It really, we can tell that, and feel that you're really concerned about the parents, and you're doing this not just to do it, but out of the goodness of your heart. I mean, you really care about the parents.
Thank you.
You're not just delivering a class. You're getting emotional in a good way, that is. You know,
Yes, I do.
You're
I
trying
get
to,
compassionate.
which is which is actually
Yeah.
it gives the class a personal level of interaction,
I appreciate that.
not a
feedback.
formal one. So
I really appreciate that because I did find that even for myself, I took the program 3 times before I became a facilitator, and it really resonated with me. You know, and I realized that the relationship that you have with yourself is the most important relationship. How do you handle yourself? Do you know yourself? Because if you don't know yourself, you can't even begin to know your kids. If you don't love yourself, how do you begin to love your kids? So I'd like to end on that note. Really, parenting is a lifelong commitment. And if you could please join me at one of the schools for one of the classes or all of the courses. We do get a certification when we're all done with the course. And I would love to help empower you so you can empower your loved ones. And I'd like to, first of all, before I leave, I'd like to say thank you to the Dearborn schools. I'd like to thank the bilingual program as well. I'd also like to thank the students that are in the studio today with us. That's Mohammed Maklid, and it's Michael Berry and Isaiah Goddard, and Kurt, and also Eric Chickfry. Thank you so much for making this possible. And please stay tuned for the next one for next month. I think we'll be running these every month. I hope, I pray. And I look forward to you tuning in for next time. And please join us for one of the classes. Good night.